Hello, ma'am. Good evening, students.
Good evening, ma'am.
Good evening, ma'am.
So one by one, please show your homeworks. Okay, you can open your video and each one show me the book in where you wrote the digestive system and the diagram. Starting with Sanyu Kumar. Switch on your video and show me the diagram. Are you ready, all of you? Amrita,
Yes, ma'am.
switch on your video. I cannot see it. It's dark, Samu. I cannot see it. Yeah,
Can you see, ma'am?
this is Amrita.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, okay. You wrote the running notes or you wrote the notes? It's
I
a
wrote,
running
ma'am.
note. Huh? It's a running notes or notes?
Notes, ma'am.
Wait, show me again. Okay. Next, Aditi. All of you start one after another. I no need to call the names. Harita, Arman,
Ma'am.
Harit, bring it closer, Harita. This is Arman, 1 minute. Yeah, turn the page. Okay. Where is digestive system?
It's on the next page, ma'am. After the flow chart, I took down the flow chart, then I did the digestive system diagram.
Okay. 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 You can switch on. Next, Harita, come here.
Am I visible?
Yeah, yeah. Where is the notes?
1 second.
Notes. Harita. Vaishnavi. Akshita. Stars. This is Akshita. Okay. Your notes. Okay. Vaishnavi.
Ma'am, 1 minute.
Okay. Pooja?
Can you see?
You're Pooja, no?
Yes.
Yeah. Where is the notes? Okay. Dani?
Ma'am, me, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Just a minute.
Sanyu Kumar, I cannot see you. Once again, try.
Ma'am, can you see? Ma'am, can you see?
Dani?
Ma'am, my name is Durlab.
Durlo.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, can you see, ma'am?
No, ma. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Now can you see?
Yes, yes.
One minute.
Yeah. Notes?
These are the notes. These are the notes.
Okay. Okay. Next, who is left out? Vaishnavi and? Whoever is left out? Yes. Sanyu Kumar, please show me. I can see you now.
Mom, now did you try to unmute me?
Huh?
Mom, did you try to unmute me, Mom?
Who?
Ma'am, it shows for me that the host is trying to unmute you.
Yeah.
Okay. Sanyu Kumar, please show me. One minute. Now you show me. Show me your book. Show me your book. I cannot see anything. Again, you are unconnected. Gone. Okay, both of you share me your WhatsApp. In the WhatsApp, the books, whatever you have written. Vaishnavi and Sanyu Kumar.
Mom, shall I show my notes, Mom? Because like my
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Can you see the PPT?
yes, Mom.
So next, life process or biological process which happens, major process which happens in our body is respiration. So what you know about respiration? We have been studying respiration means breathing in and breathing out. Okay. So respiration can be divided into two parts. Okay. First one is breathing in, intake of oxygen from atmosphere and release of carbon dioxide is nothing but breathing. Next one, this is a normal respiration, what we've been knowing from. But there is also another respiration known as cellular respiration. So what is a cellular respiration means? So this is known as cellular respiration. So what is cellular respiration means? Breakdown of simple foods in order to release energy is known as cellular respiration. So here, please remember, respiration means breathing, as well as cellular respiration also comes under the respiration. So why we require energy? We require energy to for our daily activities, for daily metabolism or everyday process. So where we get this energy? We all know that we get the energy from the food. So in the previous topic, we have studied how we intake food, what is the digestive system present in it, and how the food is digested into smaller substances. So how carbohydrates are digested into what? Carbohydrates are simple sugars. Proteins are digested into
Amino acids.
Amino acid.
lipids are digested into
Fatty acids.
fats and fatty acids. Okay, so now these are the simple substances. Now the simple substances should be further broken down to release energy, and this process is known as cellular respiration. Okay, so you can see the flow chart over here. So what is breathing? Breathing means movement of air, means we inhale oxygen and give out carbon dioxide. You can see the picture also over to the right side of the slide. So inhaling and exhaling of air is known as breathing. After that, what will happen? Gaseous exchange takes place at the lungs level. After the gaseous exchange takes place, next the gas will be transported by the blood to the different parts of the body. So here what gaseous exchange at the lung level? So oxygen will be given to the tissues, will be given to the blood, whereas carbon dioxide from the blood will be taken back to the lungs. In the same way, the gases are transported by blood. So oxygen will be transported and given to the tissues, whereas whatever the carbon dioxide present in the tissues again will be taken up and will be transported back to the lungs. Next, gaseous exchange at the tissue level. Now again at the tissue level, what will happen? Now here also the oxygen from the blood should be entering into the tissues, and from the tissue, carbon dioxide in the tissues, the generated carbon dioxide in the tissues should be will be exchanged with the blood. So after that, now by utilizing this oxygen, whatever they finally enters into the tissues, by utilizing that oxygen, the cellular process, means the breakdown of the foods to generate energy will be taking place. And this process is known as cellular respiration. Understood? And mostly the cellular respiration takes place in the mitochondria region in case of the human beings. Understood till here?
Yes, ma'am.
Shall I move on to the next slide? If it's over, you'll tell me.
Can you explain gaseous exchange at tissue level?
No, we'll go. This is a summary. Next slides, we'll talk in detail how it happens. Shall I move on? Can I move to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
So now cellular respiration. First, we'll talk about the cellular respiration. Then we go in detail about the lungs and how the gaseous exchange takes place. So the cellular respiration can be divided into two parts: aerobic respiration, anaerobic respiration. In case of aerobic respiration, what will happen? The respiration, if it takes place in presence of oxygen, that respiration is known as aerobic respiration. If it takes place in absence of oxygen, it is known as anaerobic respiration. So aerobic respiration always takes place in the mitochondria, whereas anaerobic respiration always takes place in the cytoplasm. So the end products of aerobic respiration is always CO2 plus H2O plus energy. Energy is not mentioned, it is mentioned in the fourth point, but also plus energy. Whereas in the anaerobic respiration, the end products are usually alcohol or lactic acid. Next one, aerobic respiration, the number of ATP produced. Okay, ATP is nothing but the energy. The number of ATP produced are 38. Whereas in anaerobic respiration, it is only 280. So where does this aerobic respiration and in which organisms that the anaerobic respiration takes place? So in most of the living organisms, where they can breathe in oxygen, always only aerobic respiration only takes place in all the multicellular organisms. Whereas where does the anaerobic respiration takes place is in case of few microorganisms. Where in case of few microorganisms which does not live in the oxygen environment, we call them as anaerobes. Okay, in those cases like yeast and those organisms, the anaerobic respiration takes place. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
So examples for aerobic respiration, you can give human beings. Example for the anaerobic respiration, you can give example is yeast.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
let us see how the glucose, the final end product of the carbohydrates. We already discussed that carbohydrates will be converted to simple sugars. So simple sugar is glucose. So how the glucose will be broken down so that the energy is released. So in both the case of aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration, always the glucose will be converted to pyruvate. Okay, this is the common pathway for both aerobic as well as the anaerobic respiration. So this is the common pathway for both aerobic as well as the anaerobic respiration. And this pathway is known as glycolysis. This takes place in the cytoplasm. Okay, so it is a pathway because of you are only in 10th class, only they gave us a single step process, but number of steps, intermediate steps are involved, where the glucose is nothing but a 6-carbon molecule. 6-carbon molecule means it has 6 carbons in its structure like this. So this is such a compounds because it has 6 carbons in its structure. We call it as a 6-carbon molecule. Okay. And also if you remember the photosynthesis reaction C6H12O6. C6 is nothing but 6 carbons are there in that in the glucose. So now the 6-carbon glucose will be converted to pyruvate. Okay. And it is a 3-carbon compound. Plus energy will be released. Energy will be released in form of ATP and NADPH. So this pathway takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell. And this pathway is known as glycolysis. So this pathway, that is conversion of glucose to pyruvate, conversion of a 6-carbon glucose to a 3-carbon pyruvate plus releasing energy is common for both aerobic as well as anaerobic respiration. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
After that, now we can divide into 3 parts. First one we'll see in presence of oxygen. If there is an oxygen present, I'm just putting a tick so that for your understanding. 1 minute. Where is my arrow? Oh, here. So now in presence of oxygen, where it takes place inside the mitochondria. And this cycle is known as Krebs cycle or TCA cycle, or it is altogether known as aerobic respiration. So the pyruvate will be broken down to CO2 plus water plus energy in presence of oxygen. So, and the cycle which is involved is known as Krebs cycle or TCA cycle. And this respiration is known as aerobic respiration. Okay. Now, in case of if there is an absence of oxygen, when there is a complete absence of oxygen, especially in anaerobic organisms, microorganisms like yeast, pyruvate will be converted to ethanol plus CO2 plus only 2 ATP energy. So no much energy is released over here. Please remember. Whereas here 38 ATP are released. But here only 2 ATP. When you're writing also, you put in brackets 2 ATP only. So in absence of oxygen, especially in yeast microorganism, the pyruvate will be converted to ethanol plus CO2 plus energy. If you want to write, you write in energy, but in NCERT textbook, energy is not given. So otherwise, if you write it also, you put only in brackets 2 ATP only. Okay. Now this is that type of a respiration is known as anaerobic respiration. It takes place only in the cytoplasm itself. Whereas in some cases, there are few exceptional cases. For examples are skeletal muscles. So when we run, how we feel? After you have run for anybody has run for a marathon? Or anybody has went for 1,000 meters running races or anything in school?
Yes, ma'am.
So how you feel after the end of the run?
Ma'am, like if you practice, your legs won't be sore. But if you're running one day, like 1,000 meters in one day, your legs will be very sore and you'll be breathing very hard, ma'am. You can't even sit still or drink water because your breathing will be so much heaving.
Yes. The legs will be sore, we'll get muscle cramps and all those. Why is usually there will be always oxygen supply to our skeletal muscles also as usual. But as we run faster, most of the energy will be utilized and environment will be created where there will be shortage of oxygen supply to the skeletal muscles. Means there will be no oxygen supply to the skeletal muscles. Means there will be a very minimal supply. At that time, what will happen is, now the pyruvate will not be converted into CO2 or water and release energy. It will be converted into lactic acid plus a small 2 ATP energy only. Means the anaerobic environment will be created in our skeletal muscles. Due to that created anaerobic environment, the pyruvate will be converted to lactic acid plus only 2 ATP of energy will be released. So this type of conversion usually takes place in the skeletal muscles of the human beings. Okay, we cannot call it, it can be called as anaerobic respiration, but in the normal conditions, always it is a aerobic respiration only. But in some cases, in some conditions, where there is no proper oxygen supply to the skeletal muscles, an anaerobic environment is created, then the pyruvate will be converted to lactic acid plus energy. Because lactic acid goes on getting accumulated in our muscles, due to that we'll be having that muscle cramps and muscle pains. Understood?
Yes,
And
ma'am.
soreness will be formed. Any doubts still here?
No, ma'am.
So can I move on?
Yes, ma'am.
And this is the most important 3 marks question. They will be asking you the how does this complete chart. You need to put this chart. It is in your textbooks also. You need to put this complete chart when they ask you about the cellular respiration. Explain the cellular respiration in detail, or explain the process of aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration, or differentiate between aerobic and anaerobic respiration. So anything also, you try to put this chart. Whether it usually comes as a 3 marks question. So you need to put this chart compulsory. Or sometimes only they will ask you about the aerobic respiration. Then you put this, this equation should be kept up to aerobic respiration. Means from glucose to energy. When they ask you only anaerobic, you put only the anaerobic one. And another always analytical question we get here is why we have muscle cramps and all those. You need to explain it properly. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let us move on to the human respiratory system. So this is the pathway where our air will be intaken and also will be exhaled. So first the air will be entering through the nostrils. Then it passes to the nasal passage, then to the nasal cavity. Then it is followed by pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, lungs, bronchiole, and finally alveolar sac and blood capillaries. So this is the pathway where the air is inhaled, or also where the air is exhaled also. So up, downward arrow will be there, always also the upward, it's not in here. Also the upward arrow also, exhalation of air also will be going through this only. When we exhale the air, how it will come? Blood capillary, alveolar sac from bottom to the top. And this is the your respiratory system. Now we'll talk in detail about the respiratory system in detail. So coming to the, so this I put on, yes ma'am.
1 minute.
Is the energy amount fixed in all cases?
I'm not able to hear you.
Is the energy amount fixed in all cases?
Air? Can you repeat? I'm not able to hear you. Can you repeat?
Ma'am, is the amount of energy fixed in all cases, ma'am? Like before Sammy was asked it.
Amount of energy is fixed in all cases.
Yes,
From
ma'am.
glucose, we get, if one molecule of glucose gives 36 or 38 amount of ATP. So most of the fats or proteins or anything finally will be always converted to glucose. There are many pathways, and from these pathways, in most cases, finally it will be converted to glucose, and glucose will be broken down to, and each one glucose will be giving 36 or 38 ATP in aerobic respiration.
Okay, ma'am.
It's
Yes,
a fixed. From one glucose, we'll get 36 or 38 ATP. 36 to 38. And the process involved means where the proteins will be converted to glucose, simple fats will be converted to glucose. In that process also few amount of ATP will be generated. Okay, so altogether from proteins to fats there will be slight variation, but from glucose the final cycle, that is glucose to pyruvate to Krebs cycle, that is the aerobic respiration, we'll get 36 to 38 ATP. Okay, your doubt cleared? If you have any doubt, don't put in chat, because I cannot see your chart when the presentation is going on. Just give a response, that's all. Okay, so let us, you can see from the picture, you people can hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so this is the nostrils. From the nostrils, this is the nasal passage. From the nasal passage, first it enters into the cavity. This is the cavity. And from the cavity to the pharynx, larynx, and this is trachea. From trachea, now the trachea will be dividing into two lungs. We have two lungs, right lung and the left lung. So from the trachea, it will be the trachea will be broken into branches. So the first branch, these branches are known as bronchi or bronchioles, and at the end of these bronchioles will be the a small air-like sac known as alveoli. This is the place where the exchange of gases takes place between the blood and the lungs. So after the exchange of gases takes place, now the blood will be entering into the blood capillaries and to the tissues. We'll see in detail again. So first, nostrils. What will happen in the nostrils? The air usually enters the body through the nostrils. Next comes the next part, that is the nasal cavity. Here what will happen? The air is filtered because this nasal cavity is lined by a small cilia-like structures, hair-like structures, which are known as cilia. If you put your mouth, nose into your finger into the mouth, finger into your nose, you can feel hair like hair appendages inside your nose cavity. Can you feel? Give a try, all of you. Can you feel? Can you feel? Ayo, nobody is responding.
Yes, ma'am.
Those, as we go deeper, similar hair-like appendages will be present. Those are known as cilia. Okay, so these hairs, what is the function of these hairs is they remove the tiny particles of dust or any germs present in the air. Means it's like a filtration. Okay, and the temperature of the inhaled air is brought closer to that of the body air temperature. So it becomes, due to that, it becomes moist. The air becomes moist. Okay, next comes to the pharynx, the junction of for the passage of digestive and the respiratory tract. So this is the pharynx, this is the area. I should draw you all and show here itself on minute. So from this is the pharynx. From here, one side will be going towards the digestive system. One side will be going for the respiratory system. Okay. So usually to cover this means there will be a flap, a muscular wall at the junction of this. This flap is known as epiglottis. This flap is known as epiglottis. Why we require this flap is to prevent the entry of food towards the respiratory tract. So because the food should go into the towards the digestive system, that is esophagus. So to prevent the entry of food into the larynx, this epiglottis will be acting as a regulator. So whenever we are having our food, first what will be closing is the epiglottis will be closed. Means it will be closing so that it will be preventing the entry of food. As we are swallowing, it will prevent the entry of food into the epiglottis. Okay, understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Next comes the next part, that is the larynx. So this is a stiff box. This larynx is like a connecting link between the pharynx and the trachea. And the most important of this is it contains the vocal cords. So where is my arrow? Okay. So it contains the vocal cords. Vocal cords are present in the larynx. You can feel your vocal cords. If you press harder at your neck region, bottom of your neck region, you can feel two cords present on either side. Those are known as the vocal cords. And what is, as the air passes inside, as we open our mouth and about to speak, usually the air enters inside. This air vibrates the vocal or gives vibration, and due to that, we are able to speak or sing or talk, whatever it is. So from the larynx, now the air enters into the trachea. So trachea is known also as a windpipe. And this trachea, one minute, so this is a tube-like structure. So it is also known as a windpipe. And to prevent it from the collapse, means or because it is a simple pipe, so to prevent it from collapse, there are cartilaginous rings on it. So what will happen? Suppose you have one in your electrical tube in your houses. If we don't put our clamps on it, what will happen? Now you have a wire passing to these plastic tubes will be there, no? In our houses.
Yes, ma'am.
If we don't fix it with the clamps to the walls, what will happen?
Ma'am, they'll hang down.
They'll hang out or they'll collapse or fall down. Yes, the same thing also with the trachea. So to prevent it from collapse, this is cartilage. These are known as cartilage. So there will be cartilaginous rings around this trachea to prevent it from the collapse. Okay, so these are the cartilaginous rings. So next, after that, now the trachea will be divided into, Esma? Yes, any doubt? Now the lower side of the trachea will be divided into two parts. Each part will be entering a lungs, the major respiratory organ of the respiratory system. So we have two lungs. One is the right lung and one is the left lung. And again, the lungs have different lobes. They are divided into different lobes like this. In that much detail, you don't require. It will be coming for you all in class 11. So now this trachea is divided into two lungs. The one which is entering into the right side is known as right bronchus, and the left one which is entering into the left lung is known as the left bronchus. So now the first one is known as the bronchus, and again if they divided into further branches, those are known as bronchioles. Now at the end of these bronchioles, there will be a small air sac-like structure. Okay, finally at the end of the bronchioles, we'll have a small air sac-like structure which are known as alveoli. Alveoli is a single, Alveolus is the plural name term for it. So this is the place where the exchange of gases takes place. So I'm just drawing the alveoli for your understanding. You think this is the alveoli, a small air-like sac-like structure. And this will be the blood capillaries carrying the blood. So here is the place where the exchange of the blood gases takes place. So carbon dioxide, which is present in the blood, will be entering into the alveoli, whereas the oxygen which is present in the alveoli will be entering into the bloodstream. So always the alveoli are surrounded by blood capillaries, and this is where the exchange of gases takes place between the blood and the alveoli. Okay? Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Ma'am.
Any doubts still here? Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
So this is how the exchange of gases takes place. Next, further we'll discuss again later. One minute. Actually, there's another figure in your textbook. I did not keep that one. Oh, I missed that figure. One minute. Can you see?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So after the gaseous exchange takes place, I'm not getting my pointer. 1 minute. Okay, I'm not getting my pointer. So these are the lungs where the first gaseous exchange takes place. So after the gaseous exchange takes place, the violet color indicates oxygenated blood, whereas the blue color indicates the deoxygenated blood. So from the alveoli via the pulmonary vein, first it enters into the heart. From the heart, now the oxygenated blood enters into the tissues. These are the tissues. You see, please see my arrow. Okay. Now the oxygen is exchanged with the tissues and carbon dioxide is taken from the tissues. Now the carbon dioxide again enters into the systematic vein and then enters into the heart, and from the heart it enters into the lungs. This is how the gaseous exchange takes place between the alveoli and the blood, and from the between the blood and the tissues also. Again, this will be discussing in detail in the circulatory system. For your understanding, I have told you here. Okay. Now coming to the how the mechanism of breathing takes place. So the mechanism of breathing, we can divide it into two parts. What is inhalation and exhalation? So let us do a small activity. So all of you take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and tell me what is happening to you all. Deep inhalation you take. All of you. Have you done? Tell me what happened. And be closer to your, keep a hand on your chest and take a deep breath. Then you tell me what is expanding, what is going down and everything. Have you done all this? So one of you, can you tell me what happened?
And when we breathe in, our rib cage expand, ma'am.
Which is expanding?
Chest cavity, ma'am.
Chest is expanding. Then what will happen? What is having to your upper, lower, below your chest? Now put your hand, again breathe, inhale, and put between your chest and the abdomen. And tell me what will happen. What is happening? When you're inhaling that part, what happens?
Ma'am, it moves down, ma'am.
It moves down or becomes flat. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
So first of all, let me tell what is that part. So just below the chest cavity and the abdomen, we have a small part known as diaphragm. So this part, just below the chest cavity and the abdomen, we have a small part known as the diaphragm. So what happens when we take a inhalation? When we take a normal inhalation, usually we don't feel it because it is an involuntary action. But when we take a deep inhalation, then we can also see what is happening to our chest cavity and also to our diaphragm. So when we take a deep inhalation, what will happen? The chest cavity, which is also known as thoracic cavity. The chest cavity is also known as thoracic cavity, expands. Means it increases in size. And it will be lifted forward because the ribs inside will be lifted up. And finally, the diaphragm appears to be gone down or becomes flat. So the volume of the lungs increases as the air enters into the lungs. So this is what happens in the inhalation. Next, coming to the exhalation. Now all of you take a forced exhalation. I should hear sound. Forced exhalation. Unmute yourself and give us big exhalation. Breathe out. How many of you do pranayama? Breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in, breathe out. On the sound also I'm not hearing. That is the irony of the online classes. Ayo, nobody unmuted yourself. Huh? What is ma'am is doing some yoga classes you're thinking, huh? I'll unmute you all. Mute all, I'll do it. To give a deep exhalation, all of you. Nobody is hearing. Huh? How you felt? How you felt when you exhale deeply?
Ma'am, the chest cavity contracts, ma'am.
Contracts. Don't study there in my presentation and tell me what will happen.
Ma'am, it will come back to its original position, ma'am.
It comes back to its original when you deep breathe. When we take a breath out, deep breath out, it goes inside. You do it again and tell me.
Ma'am, it goes inside, ma'am.
What happens to the diaphragm?
Ma'am, and it comes up, ma'am.
Comes up. So here during exhalation, here the thoracic cavity contracts, means it goes inside because the ribs will be moving downwards. They'll not move. If you put your hand, you can feel the rib movement also. Okay, it will move downwards. Next, the diaphragm becomes dome shaped to its normal shape, and here the lungs, volume in the lungs or air, the air inside the volume, air volume inside the lungs decreases. So this is the mechanism of breathing for both inhalation as well as exhalation. Again, this is an important 3 marks question. You need to write it along with the diagrams. Don't think that no class 10 exams from past 2 years, what they will do. You people will be definitely having your boards. So be ready. By the time you sit for your exams, Corona will go away. So gaseous exchange of gases, I have tried to put it here for you all in a proper flow chart so that it will be easy to understand. So exchange of gases between the alveoli, blood and the tissues. So air rich in alveoli first enters into the blood vessels. The oxygen binds to the hemoglobin, which is present in the RBC inside the blood. Means the oxygen will be carried by the blood by binding to the hemoglobin, which is present in the red blood cells. After that, the oxygen will be released into the tissues. Whereas coming to the carbon dioxide. So now the carbon dioxide from the tissues will be released into the blood, and the carbon dioxide will not bind to the hemoglobin. It has a low affinity binding to the hemoglobin. It will be dissolved in the blood itself as a bicarbonate. Okay, it will be dissolved in the blood as a bicarbonate. From the blood, it enters into the blood vessels, and from the blood vessels, it will be carbon dioxide will be released into the alveoli, and finally, it will be released out to the outer atmosphere through the nostrils. So if they ask you, please, you can also put in form of a flow chart. Understood? Shall I move on to the next slide?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, 1 minute.
1 minute.
Ma'am, what is the meaning of your dissolved in blood, ma'am? I didn't understand that.
Means dissolved in blood means your oxygen is binding to the hemoglobin.
Okay.
It's a protein type of thing which is present in the red blood cells of the blood.
Okay.
It will be transported as oxyhemoglobin. We'll be also studying in circulatory system. Okay. Whereas carbon dioxide has a very low affinity to the hemoglobin. It cannot bind to the hemoglobin. So it will be dissolved in the blood itself as a bicarbonate, HCO3. It will be CO2 will be converted to HCO3 and it will be dissolved in the blood and transported in that way on.
Okay, ma'am.
It will be dissolved in the blood as a bicarbonate, and after it reaches the blood vessels, only oxygen will be released into the alveolar sac. So carbon dioxide will be released into the alveolar sac.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. Now coming to this is what we have been talking about, the respiration in the human beings. Now coming to the
1 minute, can you go to the last page? Thank you.
done.
Yes, ma'am.
Now coming how the respiration takes place in the other organisms. First one, we'll see the table. In case of unicellular animals like amoeba and planaria, always the respiratory organs is the cell membrane itself. Whereas in case of earthworms, the respiratory organ is the moist skin. In case of aquatic animals like fish and prawns, the respiratory organ is gills. In case of insects like grasshopper and cockroach, the respiratory organ is spiracles and trachea. And in case of land animals like humans and birds, the respiratory organ is lungs. Okay, so all the respiratory organs have these three common features. What are those? They should have a larger surface area so that they can take in enough amount of oxygen. Next, all the respiratory organs has a thin walls, means wherever the gaseous exchange takes place, they should be having a thinner wall, because for example, alveoli is the place where the gaseous exchange takes place in the humans, in the lungs of the humans. So alveoli are usually thin walled. Okay, so they are thin walled because why they need to be thin walled? Because for easy diffusion and exchange of the gases. So no energy is required for the exchange of gases. Only simple diffusion mechanism. The oxygen will be taken by the blood and carbon dioxide will be entering into the alveoli. Yes, because for that, then the characteristic feature they require are the thin wall. Next, all organisms like skin, gills, lungs should have a rich blood supply for the proper transporting and exchange of the gases. So these are, whether it is a cell membrane, skin, gills, or any other thing, these common features, these three common features are very important for the respiratory system. If they ask you specifically about the lungs, what are the three common features, three important facts that are respiratory organs in the human beings should require? Write these 3 points home. Or if they ask you with any other animals, also you write these 3 points home. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And next, the most important, previously when you people are having 2 marks questions, this is a compulsory question they used to ask in 2 marks. Okay, at least in alternate years at least. So why does the terrestrial animals breathe? Why does the aquatic animals breathe faster than the terrestrial animals? That is a common question. Are they now they can ask you in form of a case study also. So why they breathing? Okay, all the case studies are based on this concept based questions only. So you need to study the case, know the concepts properly to write your case studies. So aquatic animals, what happens is they need to take the oxygen from the water. Means in the water, the oxygen is present in a dissolved state, and it is also comparatively the concentration is lower in the water compared towards the air. So due to that, the breathing rate is faster in case of aquatic organisms compared to that of the terrestrial animals. In case of terrestrial animals, simply they can take directly oxygen from the atmosphere. Whereas in case of aquatic animals, they can get oxygen only from the water, and from the water also, the oxygen is present in a dissolved state in the water, and the concentration of the oxygen also is very less compared to the atmospheric air. Due to that, the breathing rate in the aquatic animals is faster than that of the terrestrial animals. Next, coming to the respiration in lungs, which we have already studied in during the photosynthesis, so I'm not going to explain much. So the gaseous exchange occurs in stomata in the leaves. I think so you all remember. Lenticels in the stem and general surface of the roots also. So here, what is the gaseous exchange that is going to take place in plants?
Intake of carbon dioxide and exchange of oxygen.
Take in carbon dioxide and release of oxygen. Yes. Any doubts still here? So the important notes. ATP means adenosine triphosphate. 1 ATP releases 30.5 kilojoules per mole of energy. So when ATP is broken down to ADP plus PI, this much amount of 30.5 kilojoules per mole of energy is released. Next, NADPH, nicotinamide, adenine dinucleotide, phosphate, hydrogen. Next, cilia. What are cilia? Small hair-like structures present in the upper respiratory tract. It prevents or removes germs, dust, and other harmful particles. Why is smoking very harmful? If they give a question like this, it's very harmful because the smoking destroys the cilia present in the upper respiratory tract, and due to that, most of the germs or dust particles cannot be filtered or prevented from entering into the nasal or into the larynx or into the trachea. Due to that, usually it leads to the lung cancer or lungs damage. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Next, can I move on? Next, coming to the activity 6.4. Why do the lime water turn milky? So when we blow air, it turns the lime water milky instantly. Why? Because when we usually they will ask you all to do this experiment in your practicals, but I don't know now. So usually lime water, what is lime water? Lime water is nothing but calcium hydroxide. So when we exhale, what will be releasing? We'll be releasing CO2. So when a calcium hydroxide combines with carbon dioxide, we get insoluble precipitate, that is calcium carbonate. Due to this, the lime water turns into milk. But when we use a syringe or pichakari or whatever it is, the atmospheric air is pushed through the lime water. So the atmospheric air usually contains less amount of carbon dioxide compared to what we exhale. Due to this, the lime water will not be turning into milk. So there are two experiments in this only. One is by using the small sipping what we call sipping pipe to exhale the gas from our lungs into the beaker containing the calcium hydroxide. Whereas another one is by using a syringe. So what will happen here? If we are directly exhaling the carbon dioxide into the lime water and it's turning milky because there is a high amount of carbon dioxide. Whereas when we are using syringe, usually the pressure or air, whatever is releasing is the atmospheric air. And atmospheric air does not contain as much as carbon dioxide as whatever we are exhaling. Due to that, the lime water will not turn milky. So this experiment, what it proves, it demonstrates that lungs exhale carbon dioxide. Any doubts?
No, ma'am.
So with this, I'll stop the class. In next class, I'll try to wind up this chapter because we have blood circulation and only this one excretory system. Okay. If you have any doubts, you can call me or you can WhatsApp me. Okay, with this, I'm concluding the class.
Okay, mom. Thank you, mom.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you,
Thank
ma'am.
you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.